everybody out there on YouTube. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and we have finally come to episode number 26, the final episode of season number 1 of Young Justice for our reviews. And that episode is entitled Auld Acquaintance. Before we even get that far, let's get the introductions out of the way. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Greg Mouse 1.
Young Justice Season 1, Episode number 26, Auld Acquaintance. Originally aired out in April 21, 2012. Again, like usual, folks, episodes here are almost 6 years old, so we're not going to worry about any sort of spoiler warnings. You're just going to have to assume those, because within these particular reviews, after a short synopsis, we always go ahead and talk about 3 different points. First one being what we liked about the episode. Second being what we didn't like, or if there was any details that we would like to change, what we might change. And then the third talking point is always, what did we notice about the episode that acts as a setup or a reference to an episode that's coming down the pike or another storyline that's coming into the future. All right? With that out of the way, let me go ahead and do the synopsis for Auld Acquaintance. This one's going to be really quick. The episode opens up with Red Arrow, Speedy, being chased what looks like through a subway tunnel by the Flash, Red Arrow, and Aquaman. He narrowly escapes them by distracting them while a train passes by, and turns out that the team is back at the base at the cave, and they're like, okay, well, this is what's going on, and Batman and Red Tornado explain to the team that yes, while you guys were doing really, really good with everything, we understand that it still sounds like the folks from the light are getting information from a sensitive informant, and then they reveal that Red Arrow was the mole. Okay, which is actually completely true that he was the mole. Noticing things though, Robin notices that when Batman leaves and everything else, that he calls them kids, and he was like, "Wait a minute, he wouldn't refer to us as kids."
Tornado, stay with the kids.
Batman, he called us kids. He never does that.
And at that time, what happens is that, they notice that Red Tornado has come up behind Aqualad, and before Batman went ahead and he goes ahead and he Zetas out of there, Red Tornado comes up behind Aqualad, and then all of a sudden it looks like he shorts down. He short circuits. All right. Well, turns out they're like, well, Zatanna points out that there's a little bit of magical energy that's coming off of Red Tornado. In fact, she noticed that it was coming off of Batman too. So they're like, well, half of the team is going to go ahead and split up and look for Red Arrow. They're going to go ahead and they're going to try to see what's going on with Red Tornado. So Zatanna, let's see here. I think it's Kid Flash and Robin go ahead and they take Red Tornado up into his loft, and then they go ahead and they hook him up to his body, or they take down his body and they hook him up to the second body so that they can download his conscious over, and then they can go ahead and find out what's going on. Right after they finish downloading the consciousness over, Black Canary shows up at the cave, asks him what's going on. Right when they activate him, Red Tornado, or John Smith as it goes, tells them, "Team, we have to run. We have to get out of here." Okay. Black Canary goes ahead and she starts attacking the team. They go ahead and they subdue her, and then Red Tornado goes out of his way and he starts explaining what was going on over there up in the watchtower. Okay. During this time, Aqualad, Superboy, Artemis, and Miss Martian are looking for Red Arrow. They find Red Arrow in one of his safe houses where he leaves a cache of equipment and everything else. Aqualad confronts him. They confirm that they're no longer under any sort of mind control or anything like that. Nobody's under control. And then he starts explaining the whole situation to the rest of the team. They hook up, they compare notes, and then they cook up a plan where they go back up to the watchtower. Initially, it looks like that they're supposed to try to go ahead and sneak in with Red Tornado, Red Arrow, and Black Canary. But as Vandal Savage and Clarion the Witch Boy are there, they're like, well, really the Starotech doesn't sit there and give us like mental control over the people. It's more like remote control, complete remote control, and it also verifies when somebody's under control. And they're like, you guys aren't. So what happens is that they call in the rest of the Justice League, which is off-world. All right, those Justice Leaguers boom tube in. So you kind of wondering where they're out and about. And those Justice Leaguers consisting of Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, John Stewart, and Hawkgirl, and Martian Manhunter. They subdue the 3 Justice League members that are no longer under Starotech control, during which time that allows the rest of the team to go ahead and sneak on, and they start taking out all the other members of the Justice League one by one by freeing them control of the Starotech. Okay? Long story short, after a huge prolonged battle, of which one of the things that actually is helping the heroes out was the fact that they weren't flat out fighting against their older mentors or whatnot. They're fighting against their mentors who are under the mental control of Clarion the Witch Boy. So literally, if you think about it, they had an advantage because Clarion was suffering from input lag. All right? When fighting against these guys, all right? So, after defeating the Justice League and everything else, they go ahead and they figure out the whole situation with Red Arrow, that he was a clone. He's been a clone from the very beginning, that he's been missing for a long time. They don't know what's going on with the original Roy, the original Speedy. They don't know if he's even alive. And that even though they were able to go ahead and free them all from the mental control of the Starotech, that during the time that they were under control, during around the whole day, that 6 of the Justice Leaguers, the aforementioned Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Hawkgirl, and Green Lantern John Stewart, were missing for a full 16 hours. And they have that whole time that they cannot account for. Okay? In which case, they're like, well, what were we doing during that time? And that's pretty much where the episode and the season ends up, with a little bit of New Year's Eve celebration. All right, as inside the world of the episode, all of this is going on around New Year's Eve, and certain members of the team go ahead and they exchange pleasantries, to say the least. All right, and that's pretty much where it leaves off. Okay, I don't think I've missed anything, right?
No.
Yeah, because I know a lot of this stuff we're going to go into detail over the next few sections. So let's go ahead and let's jump into our first point, guys. What did you like about the episode? Floor is open.
Fuck you, episode 26. Fuck you, okay? It had to end. The season 1 just had to end. Okay, look. What I liked about this episode was pretty much everything that went with it. I mean, okay, you had a couple of flaws. I will get into them, but this episode, just like episode 25, it had a lot going on. And yeah, just you know what? No. Gray Mouse. What about you, man? I can't really go.
You really cheaped out on this, didn't you?
No, because I'll be going on forever. So,
Well, so what you trying to say, that I can't go on forever ever either? Anyway, no.
good.
So yeah, I think the one thing that I was going to mention that the Reverend said a few minutes earlier was at the end when the mentor and the other, what would you say the other one? The mentor and the basically it was a teacher and the student, pretty much is better to say, were fighting. And it was to me that I think that was the most the best part of the whole episode, and the fact that Superboy and Superman actually fought each other. The only way that they could actually do that, and it actually makes sense, is the fact that Clarin, the Witch Boy, was in control of them, because previously, earlier in the episode, I think it was Aqualad who said it, or was it Robin? One of those guys said that the only flaw that's in this is the fact that Clarin was actually controlling them versus them controlling themselves and being, in full control, because they would have been dead. It was just if the Justice Leaguers were actually fighting at their full potential, the Young Justice guy, they wouldn't have a chance, especially against Superman, Wonder Woman. I mean, that's the only flaw, and that flaw actually turned out to be good. Is because that was good storytelling. That would be the only way. How can I get the Justice League to fight their proteges? And that's a perfect way of doing it that makes sense. And I really enjoyed that.
So we walk away from the episode knowing that the biggest weakness, the one thing that you need to defeat the Justice League is a lot of input lag. In other words, all right, yeah, they're basically lagging out. Is what was going on. All right, that as a gamer, I gotta say, as a gamer, that tickles me on another level. Okay, but I'd have to say the one thing about this particular episode was that there's a lot of things that they've invested in, that they spent the last 25 episodes building up and setting up, that yes, they went ahead and they paid off really well. At the same time, not only did they go ahead and they have those things go out of their way and pay off, but they were also able to go ahead and do it in a way where you're like, okay, what's phase 2? What's coming next? There's obviously a season 2 coming up. What's that going to entail? All right. Because, there are a lot of like real good tidbits of dialogue that are going on, like with the whole thing with Vandal Savage telling Clarion the Witch Boy is like, okay, we're leaving now because you're going to lose control. Okay. And no matter what happens, we still need the Justice League alive for phase 2 of our plans. Okay. So obviously there's a lot of things, that they've got worked out. They're playing a long game with. So this is, the great thing about this is that this is a big wrap up episode, but it does very well set up and sow the seeds for, things that are coming up in season number 2. Now, not only that, but you got the whole thing where it's like the finales that happen. All right. It's like, okay, look, we already know that the tension has been boiling over between a Kid Flash and Artemis. Finally, they go out of their way and they get together. All right, freaking in a turn of events. All right, like I said, if you thought Kid Flash was the fastest kid in the world, you haven't seen the way that Robin reacts when he first meets Zatanna, and then at the end of everything, she's the one who goes ahead and initiates the New Year's Eve kiss and all of that. And then Calder, who's pretty much been blue-balled ever since like episode number 8. All right, the downtime episode. All right, he's even getting a little something at the end. All right, and Miss Martian and Superboy, they go ahead and they fall into doing things like they've been doing. For all of that, but this time up there in the watchtower and all of that,
No, I should have done this a long time ago.
No kidding.
Liking this team more every day.
And even on that point, you know, Superboy gets a little moment where he's actually finally recognized by Superman as being something other than that thing that we saw in Cadmus that just happens to look like me. Okay. So, yeah, you know, there's a big payoff with this particular episode, and it not only does it pay things off, but it does set the foundation and the groundwork. You know, foundation and the groundwork for the
foundation. Wow,
the groundation.
New word, baby. Middle-aged guy.
Yeah.
Heard it first.
Middle-aged guys. You know,
hashtag groundation.
Groundation. Thank you, Jim B, Vanilla, and Apple. Okay. But yeah, so they're setting up a lot of things going into episode number 2. All right. Not that I'm going to assume the episode is perfect. Okay. Was there anything in this particular episode that you guys didn't like, or maybe that you would change?
Okay. So Batman was the one that was in the cave. And then once he left the cave, he went off whooping ass for about 16 hours.
Actually, you know what's funny is that due to some of the timeline things, yeah, yeah, go. I'll touch that in the next when I cover what I would have changed.
I was like, wait a minute. I was like, so Batman was in the cave, and then he goes off, and then he whoops ass for the next 16, 17 hours with Lord knows where, So
yeah,
I was just like, but Batman was in the cave, so it took them all that time to, you know, gather everybody up and to get that plan. Maybe, okay, look, I can let it slide, but that would be the one thing that I could change, maybe, because it could have been just Red Tornado letting them know. But that's that. But again, that's me. So, Gray Mouse, what about you?
What I think that was a major problem, a major issue. And it probably would have been a little bit easier if they actually put a little thing on the bottom of the screen that says, okay, this happened at 0700 hours, and then, and then Batman left. That way you get a little bit of time lapse. There wasn't really no time lapse, or you didn't feel any time lapse. But to carry on about what I think was what I disliked, I don't know. I think at the end it was a little too mushy, a little too lovey-dovey, teenage love, slurp.
Happy New Year, Justice League.
Happy New Year. And then
it missed the mistletoe, so
and then it like carried on. You know, it's almost with what we know in the future, with Miss Martian and Superboy. They didn't have to kiss it, stand in front, looking out the window of the watchtower, and he's wrapping her. They didn't have to do that. That could have completely.
Emotions were probably running high. They probably
but no, that
died.
I felt that was a little. I felt that was a little too much, man. I was like, ew. I was a little cringy.
Well, everybody got some. Everyone got some at least. At least no one was fucking left out. That would have been fucked up. I think that would have been more fucked up if
actually,
or if everyone else would have kissed and Wally and Artemis wouldn't have. It's
actually,
like,
somebody.
You mean to tell me you're still not going to get the? Come on.
Actually, somebody was left out. That was Red Arrow. All right, because he was left to wallow in his own shit. But we know that he doesn't spend a lot of time alone because he gets rather busy with certain other things, and that's for a future episode. All right.
Yeah.
With this particular one, I'd have to say that it's a near perfect episode. The only thing that they could have made clearer was the fact that, guess what? That there was that 16-hour gap between the time that Batman was there at the cave and the time that it shows him boom tubing back in with Superman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Hawkgirl, and John Stewart, Green Lantern John Stewart.
We have reason to feel proud of yesterday's victories.
All right. The reason being is that we find out at the end, yes, they were gone for 16 hours. And then in second season, we find out that not only were they gone for 16 hours, they were off visiting other worlds, like I said, playing the role of Rick James at Charlie Murphy's house with the muddy boots. All right. Pretty much running around, jumping on couches and counters, stomping their feet, going, fuck your planet, all right?
Or Charlie Murphy getting crossed up by Prince.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so basically we know that was there.
Damn, God rest all their souls. Fuck.
Yeah. But the silly thing about it, is that literally I've seen this episode like at least 24 times. All right. It didn't fully make sense to me about the 16-hour break, because I always thought that, oh shit, so they got together, they compared notes, and then I was going to give it the whole magical wrap up, thing, the whole Deus Ex Machina thing fix, as far as like, so they're able to sit there and literally undo like over a full fucking year of what the greatest villains in all of the known DC universe, all right, were able to go ahead and put together, and they literally had to reach, out to the far, corners of the fucking DC universe and into the multiverse and into the fucking dark dimensions in order to cook up this shit that was going to go ahead and allow them, biological, psychological, technical, and magical mind fucking control over all the humans, robots, and 4 different flavors of fucking aliens. All right, as Robin put it, okay, and then they were able to go ahead. The way that it feels is like they were able to go ahead and they were able to cook up a cure and fix all of that in like, less than 30 minutes. All right, that's what it felt like. Okay, but paying attention to the timelines and the things that they go ahead and they say later, it's like, no, after they got together, depending on how much time it took for them to actually find everybody, get together, and then Batman was gone, then he came back and all of that, there was at least 16 or 12 hours to go ahead and put all that shit together. All right. Mm-hmm. Granted, it took the greatest minds and the greatest geniuses on Earth to go ahead and cook that up. They go ahead and they mention it took Queen Mira, Dr. Roquette, Dr. Spencer, and Dr. Vogel, all that time to go ahead and come up with the CureTech chips, right? So they had all of the bases covered as far as nanotechnology, robotics, biotechnology, and genetics, and magic, all right? And it obviously took them a lot of time to go ahead and set that up. But, here's the thing. They show Black Canary, who's under remote control of Clarion, waking up.
That's what I didn't understand either.
During the times.
Great, because we really need to compare notes.
So how did she not clue him off? Or, that was like one of those holes where I was like, that's really what kind of made me think that they just were able to go ahead and figure things out really quick and then send them back over, It was just one of those kind of holes. And like I said, I didn't figure it out until just now. And I've seen the episode over easily at least 30 fucking times. So, it's one of those holes that, all right. Yeah. Let me not go ahead and dwell on that too much longer, though. All right, unless there's anything else we wanted to go ahead and throw on that one.
No.
All right. So, third point that we always cover: what did we see was acted as a setup for a future storyline, guys?
The obvious
floor is open, and there's a lot of things.
Yeah, but the obvious one: 16 hours. What did we do? That to end an episode like that is fucked up. That to end a season like that is fucked up, because it's like, okay, we gotta ponder first of all, you saw a balloon tube. If that's not an obvious setup, I don't know what is. Then you got these motherfuckers gone for that amount of time. Some of the greatest superheroes on the planet gone. It's like, damn, what, they were doing some diplomatic shit, or were they taking over the universe? Were they looking for Dragon Balls or fucking Infinity Stones? What the fuck was going on here? So, yeah. Gray Mouse, what about you?
I think what Vandal Savage said, that whole speech, that 2-3 minutes of the complete wrap up of season 1. I mean, that was a perfect wrap up. I mean, all you had to do if you wanted to know what went on in season 1 was just watch that episode. It really, I mean, it was brilliant. But when he was talking to Claire the Witch Boy, saying that it's time to go, and Claire's like, "Oh, come on, we can take them." It's like, and it's like, no, you would go overboard or something like that. And then it was a nice little smirk. He's like, "Yeah, I would definitely brought the chaos." So, and Vandal Savage said about Phase 2. So, what the hell is Phase 2? So that was very interesting there.
Yep. Yeah, I'd have to say as far as the obvious setups, we have the whole thing about Phase 2, where what they were doing for the 16 hours missing. All right. And then the other thing, which is also really, really great for the fact that it referenced all the way back to episode number 1. Red Arrow is a fucking clone. All right. This Red Arrow is a clone. And, like I said, the whole thing with, so what do we do with the sidekicks? Clone them. They will be under our control. Dispose of the original. All right. That first fucking line of Independence Day. Okay. All of a sudden it comes right back up, and it is more important now than it had been, during the first 10 seconds it was fucking mentioned in that episode. All right. There's that, we have the little snippets of, people getting into their own social relationships and other things like that. The whole Artemis Kid Flash relationship is pivotal to season number 2. It is completely. It's so deeply important that it's one of those things again that becomes a central theme to the whole season. That stays influential all the way up until the last episode of season number 2. We have the final things of Connor Kent. All right, Superman and Connor Kent acting at him actually coming to a point where he's, like I said, he's actually recognizing that Connor Kent is a person and everything else, and that yes, he needs to be involved in some way, shape, or form. All right. We find out later in season 2 that no, he doesn't take this whole thing where it's like, I'm your father. He takes more of a role where it's like, no, I'm really your older brother. All right. Your older twin brother. All right.
Actually, Superboy and Superman actually develop a relationship. Even Superboy develops a relationship with the Kents.
With the Kents, yeah.
Which is absolutely great.
Yep. So I mean, it's one of those things. There's a lot of things that are there with this.
I like the way. I'm going to throw this in there. Satana, you just can't take Dr. Fate's helmet off and then it's all over.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that they added that in because it's like, okay, he has to take the helmet off himself in order for that mystical shit to go away.
I'll be right behind you. Timley Excellior Ye Retouch! I can save Fate from Savage, but I still can't save my father from Fate.
It's not like you just knock the helmet off. It's not like you just take it off. She tried to remove it by magic. Didn't happen. So
yeah, so there's a lot of things that are set up here. I mean, the fact that you know.
But why didn't Miss Clarion just get the helmet right then and there if he could do the mind control thing and take it off?
I think it's one of those things where, all right, when it comes to that, they said that it was pretty much tied to the body. It's remote control of the body and the body's abilities and stuff like that. The whole thing with the helmet, though, is that if the helmet's just free without a host, it can be donned on anybody. Anybody can throw it on.
Yeah.
So, but once it's tied to a host, it's like, well, then things get, as Zatanna saw, even if the host is completely knocked out and unconscious and unaware, yeah, you can't just casually walk over and pull the helmet off.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that.
But that's what I'm saying. Couldn't he just control Dr. Fate's mind so Dr. Fate would take it off himself?
It wasn't exactly quite like that. Which means, could that possibly mean that well, so basically it shuts off their mind and everything else. So yeah, it's like they're pretty much remote controlled puppets. All right. So
one thing that you guys forgot to mention too is the fact that the team was up there in the watchtower.
That's a first.
That's a first. That's going to play a significant role in season 2 as well.
Season 2, yeah.
Season 2 as well, because that's definitely a first, and it's a good thing that they went up there to clean up. So
yeah, especially since we know in season 2, even though the team, many of the core members don't end up in the Justice League right away, especially after the 5-year time skip.
Yeah.
They are, however, allowed access, or at least we know Robin or Nightwing is allowed access up there to the Watchtower on a regular basis, where he's got clearance to go ahead and go in and out of there. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that are going on with this particular one. Like I said, it's a big payoff episode. They wrap up a lot of things. They tie up a lot of loose strings. While they do a really, really good job at sowing the seeds, breaking that groundation for season number 2. All right. Let's do what we usually do at the end of every review episode. On a scale of yay, nay, or meh, what are your final thoughts on the episode?
Even though you have to pour and one steak sauce on this season because it's done, still a yay. It closed a lot of doors, but then it left a whole bunch of mysteries open. It is like it's agonizing to wait from season 1 to season 2 at this time, if you were waiting for it like myself. But I give this episode a yay. Gray Mouse, what about you?
I definitely give the episode a yay. Like I said previously, it closed a lot of doors and opened up as many or more doors into the second season, and how the team develops in the interrelationship between the team members, up into the 5-year jump to season 2. Yeah, so definitely it's a yay, and it's pretty agony, waiting for that season 2 to come along.
Well, actually, the funny thing is that while this was on, season 2 started right away afterwards. It didn't take them very long though to go ahead and jump into a 4 fucking month break though, which was one of those things where it was like they got things rolling and then they jumped right into a break right away. And the silly part about it is that it was like the first of like 2 or 3 that Cartoon Network did, but that's something we'll end up talking about in future videos. All right. My thoughts on this particular one. This is a yay. This is a yay plus, because there's a lot of fucking bonus points that they earn in this episode alone. All right. Even though there's a real discrepancy and point of contention with the fact that, okay, how much time actually passed in order for them to come up with the cure tech and everything else, especially considering the fact that, like I said, Black Canary, she wakes up in the middle of them, getting together. I mean, I don't know if that was a detail that they just kind of left in because of the storyboards or whatnot, but that doesn't really pay off to anything, all right? Because that really kind of potentially sits there, especially if they were, if everything was happening by remote control. and Clarion can see what they saw, what she sees, and while she's still under control and everything else like that, he should have been fully aware of whatever the fucking plans they had. All right, which makes them running a distraction and sneaking onto the base a moot point.
You know what? That kind of makes sense though, because when Black Canary woke up, and then like when Black Canary, Red Arrow, and Red Tornado went into the watchtower, and they said that they're getting reprogrammed or whatever, and Vandal Savage said, "You guys are not underneath the influence anymore." I think that part of her waking up in the blindfold, or not blindfold, the handcuffs.
While she was tied up, yeah.
I think that's what they were playing into that. But yeah, I mean, that frame could easily not even be there, and it wouldn't matter. Yeah, you're right.
But then, I mean, I'll go to another discrepancy at the beginning. You're telling me that the Flash couldn't catch Red Arrow? He was part of the group that was chasing him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I said,
I was like, wait a minute, Aquaman. He broke his bow on Aquaman.
Yeah, like I said,
and then freaking Green Arrow was there, and a Flash is there, and I'm like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that Flash couldn't catch this fucker?
Yeah, but like I said, input lag. That was what saved him. All right,
it would have been hilarious if Clarion would have been controlling Flash, and Flash would have ran and tripped and fell.
Yeah, but that's something else altogether. Okay. But like I said, with this particular one, there's bonus points or references that they drop all over the place. There are callbacks, even previous DC animated series. The fact that, look, it was no accident, the fact that it was specifically Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Hawk Girl, Green Lantern, John Stewart, and Martian Manhunter that were showing that left and are going to be held on trial for season 2. Okay. The only person that was missing was the Flash, but that's because he serves another purpose in season 2. All right. Mm-hmm. So, again, bonus points for that. So this is definitely heavily a yay for me. I don't know if they could have done a better job wrapping this first season up. All right. With that all said, you've heard our comments and our thoughts on this particular episode, folks. We want to know your thoughts on it. You can leave us your thoughts by leaving us a comment below. Tell us what you thought about this episode, our review, or this whole season up to this point. We really want to hear about it, okay? If you really like this particular video, we appreciate the like. If you didn't like it, you can go ahead and mark it as unlike. You're being honest that way. And if you're really interested in seeing whatever else we put out, whether or not it be on my channel, Theme's channel, or Grey Mouse's channel, I do suggest go ahead, turning on that subscription, turning on those notifications, and you'll know whenever we put out a new video. All right? With all of that, our thoughts on Season 1, Episode number 26, Auld Acquaintances, or Young Justice ends right here. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
I'm Grey Mouse 1.